Hi, I'm Naima Latif, and you're watching the Female Solution Global Radio TV show. As always, we appreciate you for joining us. Today, we're going to talk about a subject that has been on everyone's hearts and minds: the passing of a loved one. We've had some well known, famous people who have transitioned, bringing our attention to the inevitability of our finality, at least in physical form. Some people are in deep stages of grief because they're unsure if they're ever going to see their loved ones again. Well, today we want to come out of the spiritual closet, so to speak, as many have, all over the internet, all around the world. And we'll talk about some of these conscious raising podcasters who are inviting guests on their shows and handling topics that have to do with our belief system about life and death. Truly, there is no such thing as death. And many of us who have had experiences that verify this are now being emboldened to talk about it. So today, we're going to engage you in conversation as we take a look at some realities that many have experienced. Our guest today is photographer Marcus Robinson, who has eyesight to capture important events, but also insight to express an understanding that he has experienced after the transition of his mother, a loved one close to his heart. And this is where the understanding starts, in the heart. So we are going to come back after this brief introduction and meet Marcus Robinson and talk to you. And we have a new call in number. We're going to make sure we can hear from you at 312 721 Mike U. That's 312 721 6428. And we'll be right back. So stay with us.
Women have the power to transform this world. We can end crime and violence if we all agree to do one thing: share. Let's share our wisdom, share our time, share our talents, share our finances, but most of all, let's share our love. This is the Female Solution.
And here we are back with Marcus Robinson, photographer with a lot of eyesight as well as insight to understand some realities about life and afterlife. So, thank you so much, Marcus, for joining us today on the Female Solution Global Radio TV show. We're grateful to have you and grateful to have this conversation that so many need to have because of what's in their hearts about their loved ones. So, thank you.
All right.
So, now tell us, of course, you have gone through what I've recently gone through, the transition of my mother. And before that, the transition of my husband, who we'll talk about in just a moment. But your mother kind of prepared you in a way because of the way she raised you, with the emphasis on a relationship with God that helps you to see things differently and to know that there is a spiritual component of who we are. So tell us a bit about how that experience was for you as she was leaving this world. Were there things that she said that gave you an indication that she knew the time was near and that she wanted you to be prepared for it?
Well, the year was 2023, and we were actually preparing for planning for the summer. But she was sick. She was sick with Parkinson's disease. And on June the 7th of 2023, right here, literally where I'm sitting at in this house, she had her first stroke. And she was taken to Little Company of Mary Hospital. And then they transferred her to Christ because it was a better hospital where they could run tests. And Christ is known for heart and stroke. So, to make a long story short, she was in Christ for a few weeks and she was seemed to be doing a little better. I mean, a lot better. But then they let her go to this rehabilitation center so that they could get her strength back. But it was on July the 7th that I got the call that I did not want to get, and it was from Christ Hospital. And they told me that your mom, are you aware that your mom was brought here and she's not responding? Initially, I thought that, did she, wait, she passed? Is she dead? That's what I asked them. And they said, no, she's alive, but she can't talk. And they're trying to figure out why she couldn't talk. They would later find out that she had a second stroke. And on July the 9th, the doctor called me while I was in the room, literally praying for my mom. And he said that it doesn't look like she's going to get any better. She's not going to get her voice back. And her swallowing is real slow. And after that, she couldn't swallow. So they put her on hospice care. And they gave the option to either let her be at the hospital or sent home. And I told the doctor, if my mother is going to die, she'd rather die at home around me and my sister. And on Monday, July the 10th, she was brought home and she passed at 7:21 p.m. right in front of me, took her last breath. Long before all of that, my mother is a spiritual person, and she would often tell me about the spiritual gifts, and she said that there's one or two in every family. And she would have dreams about people who were about to pass, and she wouldn't say anything. She would say it to family members like me and my sister and her sisters, but her sisters didn't really believe her until it happened. And I started having them dreams leading up to my mom's death. I dreamed that she would die. Me and her had the same dream one morning. It was in 2021. I dreamed that she had died. And I woke up feeling kind of mean, groggy. And she was calling me and I said, "What is it you want now?" And she said, "Boy, you answer me like that. I dreamed I died." I said, "Well, I had the same dream." And she was trying to comfort me then not to worry about it, saying, "I'll be here for a long time." But I was told that she would die in 3 years by this voice, and this voice is God. And 2023, she died. When she died in front of me, some people, they will break down and boo-hoo. I honestly did not cry. It wasn't until they came and picked her body up on July the 11th as they were wrapping her up. And my friend John had warned me that it will hit you when they come to get her body. It hit me. I broke down, started crying, and as I was crying, me and my sister and my mother's home care person in front of the house, it started pouring down raining, just like we were crying. And she was taken to the place where she would be cremated, but it would be 3 days um, that I would later see her spirit. And the first time she came to me, we had a conversation. And I remember her saying, "It's not what you all think. We become balls of light."
Wow.
And that was the second conversation. I mean, that was the first conversation. Shortly after that, she kept coming to me in dreams. Sometimes I would just see her and it wasn't nothing to be said. But on my 51st birthday, she came to me in a dream about a few days after my 51st birthday. She came to me in a dream. And at first, it seemed like she was far, far off. And um, then it got closer. And I was like, I called her by her name. I said, Lee, oh, am I so glad to see you? I miss you. And she said, I miss you too, Marcus. And we began to have a conversation. I said, boy, do I have a lot to tell you. And I started telling her about how things was going here with me and my sister and my other cousins, who I kind of got them helping me with my sister. And then I asked her, well, have you seen God? And she said, he's around here somewhere. Now, um, some people would take this as people grieving deeply, but I don't believe in all that science and psychology stuff. I think that the world don't want to admit that there is spiritual uh, connection, and all of us have the gift, but some people just don't want to accept the gift that they have because they think that if they tell people about it, you're crazy. But you're not crazy. You're not high. You're not. I'm grieving the death of my mother. Don't get me wrong, but she is not spiritually dead. And really, that's what the Bible talks about getting yourself right with God, because you don't want to be spiritually dead. To die a spiritual death is to be dead permanently. But
Oh,
when your
yeah.
body dies, your body goes back to the earth. Your soul goes back to God. But God will also allow that person to come visit that grieving person. Some
Yeah.
people have had dreams where family members gave them a lottery number and they won millions of dollars. So, but the
Yeah,
Bible,
that has happened.
but spiritual people, I mean, preachers and people, psychologists, they will tell you, well, the Bible says in Ecclesiastics that the dead know nothing. Well, it's all on how you receive that scripture.
Yeah. Yeah, the
The
spiritually
body,
dead know nothing, absolutely. But the
the
physically
the
dead, there
body
is no
can't do
death.
anything. The body is asleep, is gone. They moved on to another body.
Just a container, yes.
And that's why they say they're moving out of this old house into a new home. They
Mm-hmm.
moved on. So they moved on to that body that can survive in the spiritual realm. These bodies cannot survive in that spiritual realm because it wasn't made to survive in that spiritual realm. And but again, people will eat you up. Skeptics, they will talk about you. They will use your grief as an excuse to say that, oh, you poor little thing, you miss your mom. I'm gonna pray for you, and I'm gonna pray that God will heal you because this is what the Bible says. Well, the Bible also says that um, you will one day see your loved ones.
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
if a dog, people lose animals that they grieve over. If a dog can come visit you in a dream that has been dead for over 10 or 15 years and come and visit you in a dream in your house that they never walked in and visit you and play with you, why can't your dead loved ones do the same thing and talk to you?
Mm.
They will warn you. I've had dreams when I was sleeping here, and my mother came to me and warned me that the back door was unlocked, that it was
Wow.
open. And I get up, and sure enough, it was open. Just like I saw it, just like she showed it to me.
Yes.
So um, people don't understand that. And some people have seen their dead children in dreams.
Yes, they have.
So I would say to the skeptic, explain all of that. They can't, because they don't understand what's beyond what they see on this earth.
That's
But
right.
yet,
They
they
don't.
will say they believe in the UFOs and the
They,
extraterrestrials. But you can't believe in spiritual beings. And then they call them demonic spirits who are impersonating the people that you love. They say that those are demons, that those the Bible call them imposters. But when I see my mother, I'm not frightened.
yeah, you can feel the difference with somebody.
I feel
You can
peaceful.
feel her presence, and we'll talk about that in a minute, because everybody has a certain feeling, a certain vibration, a certain presence. You can feel a person's presence even when you close your eyes. So what would you call that? That's an extra sense that we all have. And when you recognize what that is, then you know that the feeling of that person's presence never goes away, even if they are no longer embodied, even if they have left this physical world, like you say. So, how does a person explain that sort of thing? And in our culture, we're not taught, as you've said, we're not taught to really respect that aspect of ourselves where we know that we are eternal spirits. And so, like you say, people will try to ridicule it or say you're crazy or science hasn't proved it. But unfortunately, in Western culture, science is separated from spirituality. So a lot of times, those who are most scientific are spiritually blind because they can't see beyond this physical realm. And there's a whole life beyond this physical realm that when you're spiritually in tune, you become aware of, and you become aware that your loved ones who have transitioned haven't really gone anywhere other than another realm. Like you say, they have put on a new suit, a new clothes. They go into a new house. They're in a different place. So we're going to talk about that. We're going to take a quick break
Hmm.
and come right back. And then I'm going to share with you. When we come back, I'm going to share with you a explanation of something that I experienced, which I've been sharing, as have many across the internet. For those who doubt or are in grief about where our loved ones go after they leave this realm of existence. Have they really gone anywhere? Well, we're going to take a quick break and come right back. And you're listening to and watching the Female Solution Global Radio TV show. I'm Naima Latif. Our guest is Marcus Robinson. And we are going to greet our global family and come right back with more about how you can reconnect with your loved ones who are really not gone. We'll be right back. So just stay with us.
Hmm.
Let's try this again.
Hmm.
Oops, wrong one.
We are global transformers, changing the world from the way it is to the way it should be. We are one. Wherever we live on this earth, we are one human family. On behalf of our team of radio hosts, I'd like to extend a greeting to all the members of our family, whenever and wherever you may be listening around the world. To our family in China, Ni Hao. In India, Namaste. In Japan, Konnichiwa. In Korea, Annyeonghaseyo. In Russia, Здравствуйте. In Germany, Guten Tag. In Poland, Dzień dobry. In France, Bonjour. In Spain, Hola. In Italy, Ciao. In Egypt, Ahlan wa sahlan. In Ghana, Akwaba. In Nigeria, Peleo. In South Africa, Sawubona. In Senegal, Nangadef. In Kenya, Jambo. In Israel, Shalom. In Pakistan, Afghanistan, Palestine, and Saudi Arabia, Assalamu alaikum. Greetings, and may peace be upon you all. Join us live on the on-air radio network called 727-731-5192. We want to talk to you.
The Soulful Chicago Book Fair, Woodlawn's premier summer event, returns to 61st Street between Cottage Grove and King Drive, Saturday, August 9th, 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. Join us for another celebration of literary works by and about the Black experience, featuring children's books, fiction books, and non-fiction works by local and international authors. The main stage will host an entertainment lineup second to none, with Pari Lemuel, Aniba and the Soul Stars, and the mesmerizing Moo Moo Fresh. Special guest, DJ Celeste. The community stage features a variety of family-friendly performances, such as DJ sets produced by IC Music, an organization that trains and promotes blind audio engineers. All this and more, Saturday, August 9th, free and open to all. Be there. Visit soulfulchicagobookfair.com for more information.
Hi, I'm Naima Latif. Are you grieving over the loss of a loved one? What actually happens when you die? What would happen if a departed loved one came back to you and told you exactly what they were experiencing? Well, that's what happened to me. So I want to share my experience with you so that you know for certain that your loved ones are still right here and they can talk to you if you're ready to listen. I can show you how. It's right here in this book, Visits from the Dream State. In May of 2006, Sultan Abdul Latif was diagnosed with illness, 1 year to live. But we were living a healthy lifestyle. We believed in healthy eating, and we said, oh, we can beat this. They had advised chemotherapy, but we said, no, we're going to try some healthy herbal treatments that we've read about. And sure enough, a year later, Sultan was still here, but he was still rapidly losing weight. And even with our healthy eating and healthy lifestyle and herbal treatments, we could see that the illness was progressing. By July of 2007, he had lost quite a bit of weight, and so we decided to go ahead and try the chemotherapy. But even after months of chemotherapy, we could see that his transition was imminent. Now, we, of course, were devout Muslims, and we believed in an afterlife. But there's one thing to have a faith, there's another thing to have certain knowledge based on experience. My husband Sultan was about to go into the great unknown, where we all go eventually. But I wanted more than just a faith. I wanted a no. So I made him promise that when he ultimately transitioned, that he figure out a way to come back and tell me exactly how it is. Well, I want you to know he kept his promise. A few days after his funeral, he began visiting me in spirit. I kept a notebook by my bed and recorded every time he visited me. My husband Sultan and I, we were partners in life. We produced TV shows together. We produced a stage play together. We wrote books together. And after a few months of recording his visits, I realized this was yet another book we were writing together. And that notebook evolved into this book, Visits from the Dream State. You know, our religions don't teach us that we can still contact a loved one after they have left their physical bodies. So we assume we can't do it or we're not supposed to do it. You know, all over the internet, there are people who are describing near death experiences where they've died and gone to heaven and met with loved ones. And then ultimately they decided it wasn't yet their time, so they came back to Earth. Well, I didn't have a near death experience, but I did, with the help of my husband Sultan, leave my body and enter the spirit realm where he now resides. And we could get together and talk. It sounds amazing, doesn't it? You know, when we were first standing there together in spirit, at first I was like, Are we supposed to be doing this? I mean, are we breaking any rules? But apparently, it's okay. There are no rules. Now, many people may be afraid because of whatever they've been taught. But the reality is, we can contact our loved ones who are in spirit because we too are spirits. Now, it's been 17 years since my husband's transition, and we have kept in touch. I have visited him in spirit. I have seen what looks like a college campus, and I have been inside a classroom where apparently he's enjoying taking classes. We've talked, we've discussed friends and family members. We've talked about my personal life. We have been able to keep a relationship, even though my work here is not yet done. And he's having an amazing adventure where he now resides. Now that I know what I know, and I've seen what I've seen, I want to share it with you so that you too can discover what I discovered. When I was seeking information, it was like being a scientist, exploring, experimenting, and ultimately discovering the formula for how to reconnect with the essence of my husband. Now that I know what I know, I have absolutely no fear of death, nor do I ever grieve. I am at absolute perfect peace. And you can be at perfect peace as well. Get the book, Visits from the Dream State. Go to www.naimalatif.com. That's www.naimalatif.com. It's on sale now. Just $10 plus shipping and handling. And if you order by Monday, December 16th, you'll receive the holiday special of one free book with your order. Give it to a friend who's grieving so they too can be in perfect peace. Hi, I'm Naima Latif, and if you're watching this, that means you're one of the 4.6 billion.
The Soulful Chicago Book Fair. The Soulful Chicago Book Fair, Woodlawn's premier summer event, returns to 61st Street between Cottage Grove and King Drive, Saturday, August 9th, 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. Join us for another celebration of literary works by and about the Black experience, featuring children's books, fiction books, and non-fiction works by local and international authors. The main stage will host an entertainment lineup second to none, with Pari Lemuel, Aniba and the Soul Stars, and the mesmerizing Moo Moo Fresh. Special guest, DJ Celeste. The community stage features a variety of family-friendly performances, such as DJ sets produced by IC Music, an organization that trains and promotes blind audio engineers. All this and more, Saturday, August 9th, free and open to all. Be there. Visit soulfulchicagobookfair.com for more information.
Hi, I'm Barbara.
I'm Cheryl.
And I'm Naima. We're three Black moms.
And in case you didn't notice the resemblance, we're also three sisters.
We're going to be coming to you every week, sharing our successes and our mistakes as we navigate our lives as moms, wives, sisters, daughters, and of course, Black women in today's world.
We'll talk about it all: race, politics, religion, economics, culture, and we'll take a look at everything from whether or not to use corporal punishment to how do you teach your children about sex.
Look for our upcoming book, Growing Up Charles. It's a personal story about our lives growing up in Maple Park on Chicago's South Side. I'm Barbara.
I'm Cheryl.
And I'm Naima. We're three Black moms. Follow us on Facebook and subscribe to our YouTube channel, Three Black Moms.
Well, we are back, and you're listening to and watching the Female Solution Global Radio TV show. Can you hear me okay?
Mm-hmm.
Great, great, great. Well, we wanted to share that very intense experience with our audience because it certainly changed my life. And just like your experience changed your life, because it gives you certain knowledge of something that many people speculate about. And one of the things that's challenging is that if a person hasn't had their own personal experience, they don't believe it exists. But since that time of my husband's transition, I've been guided to connect with other voices of enlightenment around the world who are putting information on the internet that helps us as a global family to see things differently, to help us to understand that life is an eternal experience. One of the things that make us be able to be manipulated is our fear of death. So what I have learned from many of those who are sharing information, and we have a whole network of podcasters, and that is really where our network On Air comes from, the online network of associated internet radio hosts, which stands for On Air. That's what it stands for. And we promote positive programming, positive podcasters, positive enlightening information that helps people change the way they think so that we're not living in fear, number one, of death, and number two, of a disconnection from our loved ones, believing that either they'll never be seen again or believing that we're so unworthy that we're going to burn in hell forever. What I've learned, of course, is hell is the condition that you create with your own thoughts and behavior, and that you do experience how it feels or how you've made others feel. I've learned that. And I've also learned that life continues. This is a temporary experience we're having on earth. And one of the interesting things about this game we're playing is that when you come here, your mind is wiped clean of the purpose that you came here for. So, and we'll be sharing with you some of those voices of enlightenment that have shared their personal experiences and the personal experiences of others, as we're doing today, so that we can know for certain that there's nothing to fear, nor have we lost our loved ones. What I learned is that everyone who comes here, you come here, you're born on purpose, so there are no accidental deaths. You choose your parents, you choose what circumstance you're going to be born in, you choose, your race, your gender, you choose all these things because this is a learning experience. Earth is just one place where you can learn. This is what I have learned from those voices of enlightenment from around the world who have created programs just like this, where they can share their personal experiences, just like you've done, Marcus.
Mm-hmm.
And they can help people to see life differently and to see that our purpose for being here is to learn how to love, learn how to be loving, and enjoy life, enjoy each other's presence, enjoy the creative gifts that we've been given, and to be an asset to all the living beings that are here, sharing this planet, sharing this earth, sharing the wonderful things, the trees, the plants, the birds, the dogs, the cats, everybody that's here is interacting in a way that is supposed to be positive. So we're not supposed to be cruel to anyone. We're not supposed to be hateful, not supposed to be mean, because we're going to experience the consequences of that and what happens. And we see what kind of world we're making. But people who are coming forth with their spiritual understanding, just as you've done, are helping to change the world that we're creating. Because rather than us thinking this is a temporary thing, you just make all the money you can and step on anybody if you have to, and then you're gone forever and you don't exist anymore. That belief system is over. It's time for it to end because it's untrue. Just like you pointed out some of the misinterpretations of things in the Bible and some of the things that people have been holding on to as a belief, it's time for them to grow out of them. And that's why people are coming forth with the courage to share their experiences and speaking to those who have transitioned. People used to say, well, if you don't know what happened when you died, nobody's ever come back to tell us. Well, now people are coming back. And they've been coming back before, but like you said, if people share their experiences, they get ridiculed. And so people learn not to talk about it. But now that we've got the internet and we're connected all over the world, and we can talk to each other and share our experiences, we're realizing that we're more alike than we are different. And we're not enemies just because we live in a different part of the world. And we can actually build a global family of people who interact with love, kindness, compassion, respect. We can share everything. There's enough for everybody on the earth to share. We don't need to fight over food or water or any other thing because there's enough for everybody. So we can create systems where it's based on sharing and not, I want to have more than you. But we can only do that when we understand the truth about life. And that is life never ends. It never ends. You just go to the next experience after this. So when you know that, and you have your loved ones to come back and tell you this, you never grieve. So one thing that I thought about, especially with the passing of Malcolm Jamal Warner, that hit a lot of people hard because he was a person who was greatly loved. And I've learned that death is a decision. So when you come here with an exit plan. You come here with a plan on how you're going to leave. And sometimes you plan for it to be dramatic in such a way that it makes people think. And if there's anything I've observed is that with the passing of a very beloved actor like Malcolm Jamal Warner, he made people think. He made people think about appreciating the loved ones that you have because you never know when they're going to leave you. Just because they're young doesn't mean they're going to be here a long time. And made people appreciate what he offered as his gift and his skill and a lot of the poetry that he produced. I hadn't even heard it before, but now they're playing all of his things that he composed. We're appreciating uh, what he represents in terms of young Black men who are intelligent and creative. So we're appreciating all that he was because of the way he passed away so suddenly. And it might be difficult for people to understand, but you do plan how you're going to leave, and you don't leave here until it's time. Now, you plan several alternatives, and a lot of people who've shared near death experiences, they have shared the fact that when they, might have died in a car crash or whatever, and they got to the other side and met their loved ones, they might have a parent or a friend that said, well, it's not your time yet, or or a spiritual advisor, because we all have them, and they say, well, it's not your time yet. Or they might say, well, you can choose to leave now, but if you stay, then some great things will happen. It's up to you. So what we've done is share a lot of the work of podcasters that are enlightening people, and we call them the voices of enlightenment. And you can go to the on air website, onaireverywhere.com, because we're on air everywhere and online all the time. You can go to onaireverywhere.com and go to the Internet Radio TV Guide page and just click on a photo, and it shows you that podcaster, their direct link to their YouTube channel, their website that shows their programs, and you can all day long learn some deep insight, because it's time for us to see life differently and to see that we have a responsibility to our Creator, to learn how to love our fellow human beings and every other kind of being. We have a responsibility to learn how to be that reflection of God that we were created to be. And we can only do that when we accept truth, which means everybody who's here is here on a purpose, and there is no death. So what are your thoughts about how some people have perhaps responded to some of your spiritual experiences, because maybe they didn't have any, maybe they never had any, maybe they didn't get teachings when they were coming up, maybe they didn't get taught about God or prayer or anything, so they have nothing to go on except believing this is all it is, the here and now. And so how do you respond to them when you share your information? Does it make you just shut down if they just say, you're crazy? Or do you feel like, well, maybe if I talk to them a little more, maybe they can finally get it? What do you think about that? Oh, I think it might be frozen. Yeah, I think you may be frozen. We'll wait till your internet kind of thaws you out a bit. But one of the things that we have observed is that sometimes people become frightened when they are challenged, when their beliefs are challenged. Oh, there you are. Okay. Yeah, you're back. You had been frozen for a second. Okay, go right ahead.
So basically, my auntie, now the funny part about my family is, in public, they may act like they don't believe. But my auntie called me up one morning and she said, again, we call my mother Lee. So she said, after Lee came to me in a dream, and it was almost scary to her. And she said, check on my sister nicknamed Pookie. My mother told her to check on Pookie, told my auntie that. And so she said, I'm calling to see how Pookie is doing. I said, well, she appeared to be doing okay. Now, my younger cousins, people, they don't really, they think that you're in a deep grieving state, and they don't really believe in spiritual connections or none of that, you know. But as far as telling friends about it, when I tell them about it, they'll say, oh, yeah, to be absent from the body is to be present with the Lord. Your mom is with the Lord, and and I'm going to pray for you that you will heal, that he will heal you. And even though they go to church, they really don't believe that you can communicate with your dead loved ones or anybody else that was close to you while they was on this earth. They'll come and they'll visit you. I had a young man that I worked with at the Park District. When I was working at the park, I watched him grow up. His name was Lavelle. He was tragically killed at a Go-Low gas station, shot to pieces. And he came to me in a dream right by my bedside, and he asked me, was he dead? I said, yes, you died, and this is how you died. And he was kind of not, he didn't want to die. He was kind of upset, but at the same time, he got peaceful. And one of the activists, his name was Isaiah. Isaiah died in a car crash. And Isaiah was the spirit. He knew I wanted to get to the auto show to catch Mayor Emanuel cutting the ribbon. He kept waking me up in enough time for me to get dressed, get on the bus, and ride over to the McCormick place that particular Saturday morning to get the shot that I needed to get. And I'm like, wow, Isaiah, you would not let me sleep. Lavelle came to me in a dream, and he said to me, why didn't you attend my funeral? He was trying to get me to get up to go to his funeral. And I said out in the opening, I cannot stand to see you laying in a box when I tried all I could to save you from being in the streets. So when you tell people, they write you off as weird or you're in a grieving state. And so sometimes I just don't tell people. I only talk to people who have experienced it. They would understand versus somebody who have experienced it, but they don't want to accept it. They don't want to talk about it. They're too modest or cocky to talk about it. It's a weakness, and it's not. I mean, and it not only just works in dreams, it works in your daily life. You're sitting there and you don't know something. God is a supreme spirit. He's the almighty creator. He created everything. He can talk to you. He can also teach you. I have been taught lessons that my mother did not teach me, that it just came to me, and I've shared the information with her, and she would say, man, are you smart? There's nobody but God.
That's true.
We have angels. Angels speak to you and will warn you too. And if you don't listen to their warning, you might run into some trouble or make some choices that you will later regret in your life. We also have our ancestors who are our loved ones who passed on. My grandfather, my mother's father, came to me in a dream, and it was like I was in this store. And I got up the next day and I asked my mother, I said, did you all have a store? She said, yeah. And I described her father to her.
Wow.
And she said, that was him. He came to visit you. I said, yes. It was like I was with him in the store. And there was a group of other people in the store sitting around. She said, yeah, that was your grandfather. He came to visit you. But out in the opening, when I was wide awake walking around, I kept hearing this voice in the back of my head, Hattiesburg, Mississippi, Hattiesburg, Mississippi. And so I asked my mother again, I said, I know you talk a lot about your father and how he traveled around several parts, the state of Mississippi in different towns, building, because my grandfather knew how to draw up blueprints to build houses. And so I told her, I said, I keep hearing, is there a town called Hattiesburg, Mississippi, in
Ah,
Vicksburg? She said, yes, Daddy used to go there all the time. Daddy got a lot of people there. I said, well, I believe your father is trying to get your attention or trying to get my attention because every so often I hear it in the wind, Hattiesburg, Mississippi, Vicksburg,
yeah,
Mississippi.
yes,
So people don't believe in spirits. They don't believe that people can reach them. They're missing out. They're missing out. And it's because of the way they've been raised and how this system has taught us. We believe in science. We believe in what we can see and touch. And if we don't hear it, we don't believe the other person can hear it. But I'll say
right.
this, in school, the main office knew how to tap into that one classroom without the whole school hearing the information.
Mm-hmm.
Well, God can tap into, because He created us. God can tap, He can speak to us in a very noisy place. We can be on a CTA bus or train, and
That's true.
God will speak to us. And the people sitting next to you will have no idea that God is speaking to you.
That's true. And that's something that nobody can control. And if people really understood the teachings of Jesus, this is what he was teaching, is that you have your own personal connection to God that nobody can control. What he came to do is to get rid of the control that the priests and all these religious leaders had, telling people, God doesn't talk to you. You're not holy enough. You're not worthy, and all of those things. And what Jesus was teaching people is that you have your own personal connection to God, and nobody can control that. And you don't need to go through a priest or through a reverend or a spiritual leader and any that. You don't have to go through anybody. Everybody on the planet has their own personal connection to God. Like you said, you can hear that voice. It doesn't matter how noisy the place is, and you get warnings, you get insight, you get information, you
Yeah,
are given sometimes foresight on things that are going to happen so that you can be prepared. So everybody has this ability. And once you know this, then you're free from anybody being able to intimidate you or force you to do something you don't want to do, or threaten you with death, because that doesn't exist either. And that was another thing Jesus was proving. There is no such thing as death. And when you really understand the mastery of your mind, you can leave your body and come back to it. And people are doing that all over the place with these near-death experiences. We've got all kinds of podcasters, content creators, people who are sharing information every day. Who are having people who've had experiences and are sharing them and are teaching so that we can change this repressive belief that we have about death. It doesn't exist.
well,
Everybody is here on a temporary assignment. And when you leave here, you can go on to the next assignment. And you can even come back and talk to those who are still here, and you can still communicate with them. And one of the things I share in the book, Visits from the Dream State, is how you tap into the feeling of that person's presence. That's how you connect with them. That's how you open the channel where they can hear you. And as I shared in the video, I even learned how to do what's called astral projection, which means leaving your astral body, leaving your physical body, and your astral body, your spirit body, can go and visit the other realm where our loved ones now reside, because they're not in physical form. And
actually, when
everything.
you sleep,
And that's why they can contact you in your dreams, because you actually, every time you sleep, you're leaving your body, you're entering that spirit realm. So that's
yep,
why your relatives can speak to you in the dream state, because that's when you can connect on that level where they exist. And that's why when someone comes to you in a dream, it's real, because that's where they can connect to you. It's like calling you up on your cell phone. That particular connection, now that you're connected to where they can reach you, they can talk to you and you can hear them. So when you're embodied, you may not always be able to hear them clearly, but sometimes you can even as well. Like you say, God can talk to you on a crowded bus, and you can hear it, and nobody else might hear it, but It's soul to soul communication. So that's what we learn, and that's what we're sharing today. And we hope you all have been inspired and are seeing things differently. Maybe a one that you love has left. They want you to understand life and appreciate life. And they love you and they never left you. Matter of fact, they're more with you now than they ever were. So we've got to go. Want to remind you all, of course, the information is scrolling across the screen. Go to www.naimalatif.com/books. Get your copy. You can get it in audio book, digital book, or get the paperback. This is from the Dream State. We want you to have the keys on how you can reconnect to your loved ones. We give it right there in the book. Get it today, and we appreciate you. Thank you so much, Marcus, for sharing your testimony so that people can know that we are all connected, even after we've transitioned from this life. And how can people reach you? Can they reach you if they want your photography services? How can they reach you?
Well, they can reach me at 312-823-9449. Send me a text message to let me know that it's about photography. And I am also a minister. If you just need somebody to listen to you, I'm available. I don't have all the answers to your problem, but I'm there to listen. And I'm deeply connected with God. And I believe this, that because when my mother passed, I wasn't sleeping in my room. I kept sleeping in the living room on the couch. And knowing my mother, she didn't want you to be in one place in the house, and that was the living room. So one day, I was sitting in my room, and I had to talk to the editor from the Crusader. And I felt this peacefulness overcome me, and I felt my mom in the room with me. And I called out her name. I said, Lee, you did like to come and commandeer my room. And I used to try to run you out of here, but you love to come in my room. You would say it was peaceful in my room. And from that day on, I'm sleeping in my room.
Ah.
I feel a spirit in the living room, and I feel it in my room.
Yes.
You see her room that she slept in right here. Sometimes I go by the door or go in her room. I'll feel her spirit and have flashbacks or memories of her. Sometimes it makes me cry. Sometimes it makes me feel great. But when I communicate with her spiritually, I have a great week. I'm hopeful, and I'm able to get up and go out and do what I need to do. That's what keeps me going. Again, phone number 312-823-9449. If it's about photography, send me a text message. If you just want somebody to listen to you, because it's hard to explain this to friends and family who want to go along with what they see in this solid world. It's more to this earth than we know.
It's
and
much,
you can
much more.
communicate with animals, but some people don't believe that. You tell them your dog talks, they won't believe it. Yes,
That's
your
right.
dog, your cat,
Everything.
they talk, but they have a different language, and they
Yes.
have a certain meow for you. My dog had a certain bark for me.
That's right. They calling your name and you can recognize it. We're going to have some of the interspecies communicators on to expound further on that, because once you raise your spiritual level of consciousness, you can communicate with all life, because that is how we are designed. We are expressions of God, and God is all that is, and we are part of the all that is, and that's why we never die. We got to go. Thank you so much, Marcus.
All right.
We look forward to seeing you out there doing your thing in photography. And thank you all for joining us on this edition of the Female Solution Global Radio TV show. I'm Dr. Naima Latif, and we'll see you again next time. And until that time, continue to shine your light. And come on back tomorrow and join us for Mama Africa's House, right here on the Female Solution Global Radio. See you then.
All right.
We've come to the end of our show today. If you missed any broadcasts, go to our website for the audio and video archives at www.thefemalesolution.com. On behalf of our team of radio hosts, I'd like to thank all of you who participated in today's discussions. And to our global family joining us from all around the world, we say thank you. To our family in China, xie xie. India, zhanyavad. Japan, arigato. Korea, kamsamnida. Russia, spasiba. Germany, danke. Poland, dziękuję. France, merci. Spain, gracias. Italy, grazie. Egypt, shukran. Ghana, madasi. Nigeria, eshe. South Africa, Ngiyabonga. Senegal, Jared. Kenya, Asante. Israel, Toda. Pakistan, Shukriya. Afghanistan, Tashakur. Saudi Arabia and Palestine, Shukran. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Thank you, and may peace be upon you and the mercy of God and God's blessings.